What is good? YouTube Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to you out with a quick video. Today we're gonna talk about the Utah Jazz, a team that, as we know, has been probably up there as one of the top three most disappointing teams this NBA season. And I know they don't have Bogdanovich. We knew that going into the seeding games. Donovan Mitchell has took a step forward in his NBA career, becoming an All-Star, increasing his numbers, and Gobert still is an All NBA center this year, still one of the All NBA defensive team centers this year too. So, what's going on with the Jazz, and why do I think that they should go in a different direction? After picking the Jazz to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference, how did I go from this team is going to be a contender when the season started and as the season was going on to this team is going in a direction where they don't really have the brightest future as a lot of us thought. And it's unfortunate just because we know one of the main reasons why this is going to change is because Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell have shown that they're not a great enough duo to get the job done, which is winning a title. This was supposed to be their best chance. They even made the move for Mike Conley to increase their chances. And their bench got a little bit better, especially adding Jordan Clarkson, and that didn't really take them to another level. It just kept them at the same spot. I know they was top four, before the seeding games. And the unfortunate part about that was I also picked them to drop from 4 to 6. And that's exactly what happened. I don't know if they're going to be locked into that spot, but that's where they at right now. And I really can't believe pre coronavirus, I still thought the Jazz was disappointed. So this is not just about the seeding games. This is just about Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles, and Quinn Snyder. They have shown that they can compete with the best teams in the NBA. They have shown that they just a little bit, they almost there. But what can this team really do to really go from they're great, they're one of the best teams, but how can they get from one of the best to championship contender? And that's something that's powerful just because it's one thing being able to be one of the best teams in the NBA, and it's another thing to actually be able to have a legitimate chance at winning a championship. And I felt throughout this season, Utah kept showing me that they're great, but I wouldn't pick them to win a series against really the top four teams in the NBA, which would be the Clippers, the Lakers, the Bucks, and teams like that of that nature. Even teams like the Rockets, who had a worse record, even teams like Denver, I probably would pick to beat Utah throughout this season, even though their record was better than those teams before the seeding game started. And I think it starts with the roster. The roster, you look at it and it seems like you see a bunch of names on here, you see a bunch of guys, and you think that even though some of these guys should be paid less than what they are compared to other teams, and we know that Utah is one of those small market teams, they got to pay more money to get certain players on their team. Guys are not really trying to go to Utah. They're not trying to get traded to Utah, and they're not getting big name free agents to come to Utah. So I understand why they made the Mike Conley trade. They found a guy that was one of the better point guards in the league, and they try to make a move for him to upgrade that roster spot. And it's important just because they are in the Western Conference, and you need somebody that can defend other guards and also be able to create and score. And the fact that every time we've seen Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs, he has shown that he has struggled to make plays and score at the same time, and they continue to lose to the Rockets, which James Harden does easily, and Donovan Mitchell just wasn't ready at those particular times. And Mike Conley was supposed to come in and knock down some shots, make some plays, and give him some off the ball scoring to make Donovan Mitchell's job a lot easier. Plus, you look at Joe Ingles, another guy that can handle the ball and make plays, but also scored. And you had Gobert, the Defensive Player of the Year, coming into this season, and I had him, but for a majority of this season as the Defensive Player of the Year for the third straight time. but people starting to give it to Giannis because how he closed out the season. But also, you look at Royce O'Neal's and Jordan Clarksons and guys of that nature. You look at them, they about 7, 8, 9 deep, and you look at the fact that they still had a decent defense. They wasn't the elite defensive team that we are accustomed to, but they wasn't a terrible defensive team, even though you know it was a disappointment. But I look at this Utah team and I see once they give Donovan Mitchell this max contract, because he is a max contract player, and even though when they got into it over the Corona and him and Gobert was getting into it, I did say I'd rather them trade Donovan Mitchell than Rudy Gobert because it's easier to get a 20-point scorer than it is to get an elite defensive player. And I stand by that because it's true. You're not going to find a way to replace a defensive player of the year caliber player. It's not that easy to find. It's not that easy to replace because if that was the case, Anthony Davis and Brook Lopez are the only two guys that people are considering was better than him defensively, and most people still have Gobert over Brook Lopez, and some people have him even over Anthony Davis. That's how hard it is to find another Gobert, and Donovan Mitchell is a 24 high volume, high usage player, and you can find those type of guys easily in the league because there's over 20 of them in the league. So that's why I picked Gobert over Donovan Mitchell. But as the season progressed, I started seeing Rudy Gobert and them just not compete. I done seen them continue to, let games go, continue to find ways to lose to the best teams in the NBA. And it was just a recipe for disaster. And with Donovan Mitchell contract coming up and Rudy Gobert contract extension coming up, you have to literally be real with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself and ask, you know what? What do we have here? What really do we have here? What can we personally do to make this team better? That's what you have to ask yourself if you're the general manager, just because that this roster is going to be difficult to keep together if they cannot find a way to put enough pieces around their duo, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. And it's not an easy way to fix this problem. Like we said, the biggest move they could have made probably was getting Mike Conley because he was the best player available, and he actually made sense, when they made the trade to try to upgrade that position. But when you look at the guys that's available right now, none of them really fits Utah. Even if they try to trade Gobert, it will have to be a trade that we don't see coming or that comes up later because the available talent and available stars they don't need for those certain positions. And it doesn't really make sense for them to make a trade in general because I don't really see nobody that can really take this team to that level where they're a championship team currently. So it's interesting to see what they're going to do with this team. It's interesting to see if they're going to keep this duo together as they're both almost getting to the point where they're going to have to get larger extensions. And as a duo, they haven't made it to the Western Conference Finals either. They have been able to become a competitive team. They have been able to become one of the best teams in the NBA. But year after year, we all feel like they're one piece or one move away from really being a championship team. And the problem is when I'm looking at the salary cap and I'm looking at this roster, is it really even possible to make that move to get them to where they should be going, or will they ever be able to do it? Especially with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert contract extensions coming. So this is crazy that a year later we talking about a team that they're gonna be one of the best teams. They're gonna be great. And as the season progressed and as we got to almost a year point after the Mike Conley trade, I'm thinking this isn't gonna work. They need to find a way to move some players, try something different because what they're doing ain't working. But it shows you how hard it is to win a championship. It shows you how hard it is to get to that level because this is one of them teams that they're young enough, they're good enough, but that don't mean you're going to be great enough to get it done. And we even seen it with Karl Malone and John Stockton. They kept getting there. They kept almost getting there, but they never got there. that's how hard it is, and that's why I tell you, teams like New Orleans and teams like Dallas and teams like Denver, you're great, but you still have to get the job done, which is winning the title. It's good to be almost there. It's good to be in the playoffs. It's good to get to the Western Conference Finals like we've seen Portland do last year, but the goal is to win the title. If you're not doing that, all of this is a waste because you got to rebuild to get back to that level where you can compete for a title. And if you don't get the title, you have to do it over and over and over and over and over again until you get the title. That's the hard part because it's that damn hard to get a title. But other than that, that's my message. That's my point. Utah was a young, up and coming team, a team with a lot of potential, a team that we had a lot of respect for, and they was getting it done on basically almost on both ends of the court. They had elite defense, but not really elite offense. This year they got a okay, a good enough defense and a good enough offense, but they're not elite anymore on either one of them, in my personal opinion, and that's actually a step backwards too. So let me know what you guys think. Is I'm tripping? Should they keep Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell together? Should they pay them and just see if something comes and happens where at the end of the day they can get to that point where they can compete for a title and really be a championship contender? Or do you think they should just stay, wait it out, and wait for that moment to come? Or do you think that it's going to be impossible to keep Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert together because of their contracts and how other team players on this team is paid? Or do you think that they should just, try to trade one or the other and try to reconstruct this roster around somebody else and try something different and then try to go for a championship with that team and that player? Whatever you feel, let me know in the comment section below. But that is the end of the video. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description comment section below. Like on Facebook to show support. Thanks for everybody that like the video and share to help this channel grow. That's a small thing I ask you guys to do. And if you already love the videos, you already like them, why not do that anyway? Because if you should want to, share something that you love and enjoy. Not only that, I make videos just like this each and every day, discussion videos, top 10 videos, trade deadline, free agency. Not only that, playoff predictions, which will be coming up later, summer league analysis, breakdowns of players, legends, and rookies, and even summer league breakdowns. And if you haven't known, I have over 1,000 videos. So if you enjoyed this video, check out my older videos. If you like these videos, my older videos, why not subscribe and become part of the family? Other than that, I'll be back with another video tomorrow. Can't wait. That's my analysis. I'm done.